Hello everyone, and today I'm going to wrap up the NFC East, of the NFC side of my preview predictions. And I'm going to wrap it up with I saved the best division for last, the most compared division in football in my opinion, the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys won the division last year, going 13-3, falling short of the NFC title game, losing to the Green Bay Packers at home in the divisional round thanks to amazing plays from Aaron Rodgers. Dak Prescott, second-year quarterback. You got Ezekiel Elliott. You've got America's team. It's the Dallas Cowboys. And then you got the Giants, who are a wild card team, and one thing in common with the Dallas Cowboys is they both lost to Green Bay in the playoffs. So, and then you got the Philadelphia Eagles, led by a second-year quarterback, Carson Wentz, and then the Washington Redskins, worrying about trying not to be offensive. Well, guess what? They signed Kirk Cousins for another 1 year. I would start with the division-winning Dallas Cowboys. This is Dak Prescott's second year, and everybody's talking about potentially a down season for the Dallas quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys, they have leaders because they've had a lot of off-field issues. Who's the locker room leader? Who's the captain of this team? Dak Prescott is in his second year. He had an amazing first year. He's got Ezekiel Elliott to hand the ball off to if he's not suspended. I know the NFL was looking into that. But I think the Dallas Cowboys will be just as good as they were last year, if not better. I know it won't be as easy as they made it look last year. They do still have the best offensive line in football. Their defense is a bit questionable. Their secondary is a big question mark, in my opinion. But I don't see much of a downfall in Dak Prescott. I think a lot of people are just haters who think that. He's a very talented kid. He can run, he can pass, he can play in the pocket, he can beat you so many different ways. And he's very accurate with the football. Like I said, with that offensive line, he's got tremendous pass protection. And then he's obviously got the quarterback's best friend in the run game, in Ezekiel Elliott. So I think the Dallas Cowboys will be just as good as they were last year. And I do think this will be the most competitive division in football. I think it's going to come down to, like it always does, it always comes down to the head-to-head matchups between each of the teams. I think Dallas, how well they perform against the Giants, inside the division, the Eagles and the Redskins, that's going to determine whether or not they win the division or they're battling for a wild card spot. And I feel the same way about the Giants and the Eagles. I think the Redskins are out of the question because, like I said at the top of the video, I think they're too busy trying not to offend people, and they haven't really built much of a good roster, much of a team. And I don't think Kirk Cousins is a franchise quarterback. The fact is, it's hard to find one, period. It's hard to find a long-term answer. But, he has put up good numbers. But at the end of the day, in pressure games, in big games, and against teams with a 500 or better record, he's not very good, and his interceptions are higher, his touchdowns are down, his completion percentage is lower, and if my memory recalls me right, he's like 2-5 in primetime games, and obviously last year against the Giants, he threw a couple of picks in the fourth quarter. One of them sealed their season, sealed their fate of going to the playoffs, despite having an opening to make it into that last playoff spot. I think the Redskins are going to win. I think the Redskins are the weakest team in this division, easily. And I think when I look at the teams, I think it's going to be Dallas and the Giants battling for the division title. And I think the Eagles really impressed me with getting Carson Wentz some actual talent at the receiver position. They got Alshon Jeffrey, they got Torrey Smith, they did get Nick Foles back as a backup quarterback. I thought Foles was really good in Philly his last time around. I don't think they should have got rid of him, but they did. And now they have second-year quarterback Carson Wentz. I don't think Wentz had the kind of talent around him to really be successful. I think unlike Dak, he's got he's had a little bit more downs to start his career, which could be really good for him. Some adversity can build him and make him a better player. I do think the Eagles would be better. I think realistically, though, they still have a solid defense, so I think they're in the mix. I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to come down to the matchups, the games, the interdivision battles. Dallas is the favorite to win this division. Because, like I said, I think Dak is going to be a rising star and is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in this league. I do question though whether Dallas does have the leadership to get it done, because I mean they don't have Tony Romo anymore. He retired. Well, talking about him going to the Texans. Jerry Jones was too busy holding him hostage with a contract. We wanted to try and trade him, but it didn't happen, so he ended up retiring. And Tony Romo is in the broadcast booth, and of course now there's questions if Dak has a down year, will they pull Romo out of retirement? No, because Dak will not have a bad year. Dak will have yet again another strong season. He probably will have another Pro Bowl season, and I think the Dallas Cowboys will make it to the playoffs, most likely as division champions again. If not, at the very worst, they'll be a wild card team. I could definitely see 3 teams coming out of this division and making the playoffs. I really do. I think the Giants are good. I think they got a good defense. They've got Brandon Marshall next to Odell Beckham. So Eli's got some really big targets, and the Giants in the playoffs are dangerous. I still don't think the Giants improved their run game. I still think they need a running back, a bell cow, so to speak. And maybe if they keep their heads down. I mean, Le'Veon Bell hasn't signed a contract extension in Pittsburgh. If things fall through the cracks there, Bell could end up a free agent. And obviously, if the Giants won the Super Bowl, the 2 Super Bowls based on a strong run game and a great defense, and Eli Manning making some clutch plays. So really, they're an old school team. They play well when they do their best work when they're able to ground and pound, and Eli's able to just make the big play when needed. That's their identity. That's who they are. But I think the Giants are very strong. I think they're a very good team. I think Dallas is probably going to win 12 games, and it's not going to be an easy 12 wins. The NFC East is by far the best division of football because, like I said, you're going to have at least 3 teams competing for the playoffs. But all 3, Dallas, Philly, and New York, are all better. Especially New York and Philly, they're all better than they were last year. At least on paper. On paper, I think they're all better than they were last year. I think Dallas is now committed to Dak for the long term, which is what they needed to do. It's what a lot of teams like Arizona, teams that a team has an aging quarterback that needs a face of the franchise for the future. So they've got they're set for the life essentially. Now the question is, can they get past Aaron Rodgers? Can they beat the top tier teams? Can they beat the Green Bay Packers? So I forget, the last 2 times the Cowboys have gone to the playoffs, the Packers have put them out. So I think with the Dallas Cowboys, their fate's going to come down to their defense. And I do think Dak will have a strong second year. I think for the Giants, can they get the run game going? Can they run the football consistently? And can they play great defense? And can Odell Beckham stop smacking sideline nets? I mean, he's just crazy. But Eli certainly has 2 big targets now. There's no excuses for him to not at least throw for more touchdowns, at least for more yards, and have a higher completion percentage. And I don't see any reason why the Giants shouldn't have a better offense this year than last. And for the Eagles, it's about a step in the right direction with a progression of Carson Wentz. If he takes a step forward, they've got a solid defense. I think their run game is pretty good. It's not elite, but it's pretty good. And they've got more talent now at the receiver position. They only had 1,000 yards plus. They were almost dead last in the league in receiving yards. And you could say, well, the quarterback this, the quarterback that. The bottom line is they didn't have anybody quite at the skill level of Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith. Guys who could stretch the field, who could catch, who can make plays in traffic. They can create separation from their defenders. I think Philly, if Carson takes a step forward in his progression, I think they're a 9-10 win team. And like I said, I think all 3 of these teams are battling for the playoffs. But like I said, it's the best division in football, and it's going to be an absolute fight. I think for everybody in this division outside of the Redskins, it's going to be a battle. And I think New York is very strong, and like I said, I think New York and Philly have got strong enough now to upset unseat the Cowboys. I do think it's possible the Cowboys could have a down season, but I don't see it happening. And I certainly don't see Dak taking a step back. No pun intended. Not trying to be rhymey or anything. But at the end of the day, he's a really good player. And I think he's got enough talent around him to be just as good as he was, if not better than last. And of course, we also wait for whether or not Ezekiel Elliott will be suspended. I do think it's wrong that Elliott is getting essentially a pat in the back from Jerry Jones for his off-field stuff, but Lucky Whitehead, who was falsely accused of a crime and had his dog held for ransom, I'm really upset. I'm really disappointed in the Dallas Cowboys for thinking less of Lucky Whitehead. I mean, I know he's not a star like Ezekiel Elliott, but that is just wrong. He should not have been cut. He was falsely accused. So, we'll see if that kind of karma comes back to hurt the Cowboys. It may not, but Dallas, I think, has the upper hand in this division. But I do think the Giants and the Eagles are much better, and it should be a very competitive season. This has been Sam Darley. Thank you for watching.